Hi there, it's Stephen again from Athlete Focused, and just going to talk through the next sports psychology block, which is being in control. So these two sessions will focus a bit more on a number of strategies that can allow the players to stay in control of their thoughts and emotions when things are getting difficult, and very much targeting sort of competitions that are coming up. There's a little less content in this block. I think speaking with coaches and even players, doing a little more on court and trying to bring things to life a little bit more is something that they've said. So we'll have a little more less sort of content on paper in the worksheets and a little more on court, and even do some of the worksheets on court. That will also give us time to go over some of the previous strategies we've used, such as imagery, for example, just to consolidate all this and dealing with per performances as well, their recovery from that, the process they go through, just to see it in action a bit more, and I can actually be there on court. So that's the plan for the next two sessions, a bit more on court work, and but also some worksheets on being in control. We have touched on this, and we did in our Thinking Smart booklets a little bit on controlling the controllables and allowing players to understand what they can and can't control, and very much to focus on what they can control: their routine, their performance, their preparation, their attitude, their effort. Those are the sort of things that we're going to direct them to invest their energy and attention in. I think it was very useful exercise as well. Just at the start, we're going to just look at times when they have maybe lost control and maybe some of the triggers for that. It could be double fault, could be losing the first set, but just understanding of here's common times when I start to feel like I'm losing a bit of control, and then that will inform some of the work that we're going to do in this block. So just allowing them to become aware of common times for them, triggers for when they have lost control of their thoughts or their emotions in the past. So they're going to have space to detail that in here. And the first technique that we're going to have is one that we can use on court, and it's just a very helpful breathing technique, and it's called box breathing. As you can see from the image here, it basically is 4 seconds just around the box. So holding breath for 4 seconds, breathing in for 4 seconds, holding that for 4 seconds, breathing out for 4 seconds, and then holding again with all of the air out of your lungs for 4 seconds before breathing in again. So again, this is going to help the players calm down and focus just when they are experiencing some of the examples that they've talked about when they lose the control. And this is a very quick exercise that they can use on court. So we'll practice this. We'll even try and develop some situations to put them under a bit of pressure, a bit of stress, and maybe cause some of those triggers in terms of thinking about losing control of their emotions or their thoughts, so they can lean on this and start to practice it, which would prepare them well for tournaments. So we'll work through that a number of times. It's something that does take minimum of 16 seconds. So in terms of, we will get players to think about personally when they can use it, probably between sets, or potentially between games if they have time. But it's something that we're going to experiment with them and get them to figure out what works best for them. But it is a very useful breathing technique that we can use. It's also something that can be done pre-tournament, and that's something that we'll come on to beforehand. If they're feeling anxious or feeling stressed, they can do a couple of minutes of this breathing technique to alleviate some of the stress and anxiety they might be feeling. So that's the first thing we're going to do, and then think about how we can use that. And again, we'll bring that into a training session and look for them to use it at a certain point. Again, this is something that can be used it should be used in training to practice it, so that we can lean on it in competition. Secondly, then, the next strategy that we're going to look to do is developing an if-then plan. And it's really just, as the name suggests, if something happens, then I will do this. And it's probably going to be, for us, thinking about kind of plan B. It's great when things go together. You win the first game, win the first set, win your first match, whatever it could be, or win your tournament. But if you don't win a tournament, then what are you going to do? If you don't win a first set, then what are you going to do? If you double fault in your first game, then what are you going to do? So we're going to have a think about common examples of things that might go wrong, I guess, in their tennis life, or not go to planning. And again, it could be like, if I don't get a time for my warm-up, then I will do this. And it's just about planning for plan B. Basically, things don't go to plan, we'll have a plan in place for that, and it gives them the confidence that they're still in control, and still have a routine that they can stick to. So we'll try and explore a few things for the players that maybe are common things that in their tennis life they don't maybe have a complete control over things that have gone wrong in the past or haven't gone to plan. And again, I've given a few examples there around kind of losing first sets, but it can be bigger than that about, if I'm injured, then I'm just giving them a plan for a whole host of different scenarios. So they're going to complete that plan and have a little think about that. And again, the warm-up example might be one that they go to. So they can have space for that in there. Then it's about understanding these obstacles. And so those are some of the obstacles that will make up the if part of the plan. The then part of the plan should be involving some thinking and doing, some thoughts and behaviors that they can then complete. And it could be linked to some of the stuff we've done previously. And I've given the example below here. I lose the first set. So if I lose the first set, then I will keep calm by doing some box breathing before reminding myself of my great skills and ability. And then I will be positive going into the next set. So again, just giving them that idea of a quick plan if things don't go as they'd hoped. And again, it stopped this sort of spiraling and losing control of their thoughts and emotions. It brings them back to something they can control, which is their behavior and their attention and what they're doing. And again, that's something that is then hopefully going to bring them back and allow them to perform to the best of their ability. And this is something we're going to spend more time on. Again, there's less content in this booklet. With the players, it felt a little bit maybe rushed at times, so maybe too much content. So this is going to give us more time to really spend on getting this plan organised. And again, this is something, speaking with Johnny, that we're going to then bring into the sessions. So playing some more match-like practices if you lose the first set, and then going and executing this if-then plan when possible. So again, there's space for them to come up with a number of ifs and a number of thens, and we'll spend a good bit of time in this getting clear with exactly what we need to do. And you don't need to fill this. Again, this is something you can come back to with players, but you don't need to fill this. It can be something that you do just whenever, and something again that can be adapted and changed to different ifs if different ifs come about. Lastly, then, we're going to look at something I think is going to be really beneficial, and that's a pre-tournament routine and getting really clear with what that looks like. Preparation and routine is something that is in control. The players are in control of it, something they can take control of, and that will help organize them before a tournament and go into that tournament confident and in control of their thoughts and emotions. So the first thing we're going to do is before we get into explicitly planning it, is just speak to the players about things they just like to do before a tournament. And they may have noticed things that they like to do, whether it's, a certain meal before the night before, or they like to listen to certain songs in the car, or they like to, have a certain breakfast, or, play certain video games the night before, whatever their routine is. Now, they may not know it's a routine, but just getting to think what if you had to prepare for a tournament, what are some of the things you'd like to do in the lead up to that tournament? If it's spending time watching tennis on a Friday, or having a hit, or whatever it could be. But we'll get them to think about that and think about in an ideal world, what are some of the things you'd like to do in preparation for a tournament for you to go into that tournament feeling that you're ready. So we'll give them space for that just in here. And again, it's probably something to continually sort of speak to them about, because as the if-then plan, much like, the if-then plan, this plan and routine will develop. It will not just be rigid, it will develop over time. So we'll give them space for that. We'll have a really good discussion on exactly the types of thing that we'd like to do before a tournament, like to complete. And again, we will include in the plan some thoughts and behaviors. So we'll take this information, and then we're going to build the routine on the next page. But it's really important to stress, it's personal to them. It's something that they feel works, they feel comfortable with, they feel will give them success. And like any sort of routine and practice, they need to be consistent in terms of trying to execute them every time. And this is it. So it focuses on a number of time points, and it's split up into helpful thoughts and behaviors. The players don't have to fill out every box. It's not necessarily having always something in those boxes, but I think certainly either a thought or behavior for each time point would be really beneficial. So you can see here the night before. So what sort of things or helpful thoughts can they have the night before and be thinking about and going through in their head? And then some of those helpful behaviors, like getting their kit organized, being packed, making sure they have everything. And then again, after that, relaxing. Do they spend time with family? Do they play a video game for an hour? Do they watch tennis. It's completely up to them, but things they like to do. Do they get their lunch organised? And even in that, we can have our pre-tournament meal, night before meal as well. So there's plenty of space in here just for them to detail a couple of things. The other time ports are the morning of. So again, helpful thoughts in terms of, it's a great day today. I want to have a really positive tournament. I want to go and show what I can do. And again, helpful behaviors linked to sort of breakfast, stretching, maybe thinking about their game, doing some imagery. Again, some of that will link back to the work that we've already done with the psychology block. Caller journey is a very important one, just in the lead up to the tournament, some helpful thoughts. And this is something you could speak to players about in terms of what things are helpful for you in the car in that journey. Talking, music, not talking, no music, talking about other things, talking about tennis. So it's completely up to the player to come up with this. And again, this is something that may change over time, but it's good to speak to the player about this and understand exactly what they like to do before a tournament, that they feel they can then be in a position where they can execute their skills and perform in the day. And then I think a really important one is before the warm-up. So that probably period when they've just arrived at the tournament and they're just about to go and kind of get warmed up. You know, there's a bit of waiting around maybe, and do they go for a walk? Do they listen to music? Do they do some imagery? Do they do some box breathing? What sort of thoughts are they having? You know, I want to execute my skills. I want to do this. Be positive. And again, it's linked to some of the work that we've already done. So hopefully we'll see some of that come out, some of the previous work, if they find that useful, and then basically populate this pre-tournament routine. And again, that's something that will change over time, and you can print off this worksheet and adapt any ones that they've already got. But I think it's really important that they get even just a couple of things across each of these time points so that they know they've prepared well for the tournament and they're ready to go. Lastly, then, it's just some notes. I feel potentially with the more work that we're going to do on court, we're going to focus on any of the strategies or all of the strategies that we've done, and just give them some space to maybe take some additional notes here, and even notes on the if-then plan, the box breathing, the pre-performance routine, or imagery, for example. Some of the other skills that we've looked at are things we've done, just so they can continually taking those kind of self-reflective notes can be really helpful. So again, a bit of a smaller booklet, just less content, but hopefully going more in depth, and also doing some stuff on court. So box breathing, if-then plans, actually doing them on court, and taking what we do in the classroom essentially, or the clubhouse, and actually bringing onto the court. I think that's something that we need to maybe do a bit better in terms of the support we offer. So that's going to be a focus for the next couple of sessions. I hope that's been informative, and I've explained the next couple of sessions well. Again, you'll get this PDF. Feel free to work through it with your children and the players at any point, if you find that helpful. And if there's any questions, you can email me. I'll make my email available. But thanks for your time, and I hope you found that useful.